Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am your host, as always, James Yoder, and we are presented today by Manscaped. Go ahead, go to manscaped.com, use that promo code GOBLUE, get 20% off your order, get free shipping. I'll talk to you about a great product that they just launched coming up later in the show. It's manscaped.com, promo code GOBLUE. It is Michigan football mailbag time. I put some calls for questions out on the internet yesterday. A bunch of you guys contributed, got your questions in, and so thank you for that. We only had a chance to pick about 10 or 12 questions or so we're going to dive into these questions on Jim Harbaugh, the 2021 season, and what you guys want to know about the Michigan football program. First question coming up from my man, Mish Hot Takes. Follow him on Twitter if you haven't yet. He says, how many Dogecoin would you feel comfortable betting on Michigan getting under 8 total wins this season? Well, Doge is trading about 35 cents per coin right now. And frankly, guys, I don't want to be, I've seen some of you guys in the comments lately saying, hey, you're being too negative on the team. Look, they went a 2-4 season last year, and I just don't see 8 wins this year. I really don't. I hope they have 8 wins. I hope they have 9. I hope they have 12. But when you think about, you're going to face a top 20 Washington, Ohio State, probably a top 15 or 20 Penn State team, top 15 or 20 Wisconsin team. There might be 4 losses right there already. So unless Michigan goes 8-0 in all their other games, that's a pretty tough thing to consider. So coming off a year last year that they went 2-4, right? The first losing season this program has had since Brady Hoke's final year in 2014. I know Jim Harbaugh was 8+ wins in every single season prior to that, but in my opinion, this is the least accomplished. I'm not saying talented, so don't get it twisted here. I think it's the least accomplished team that Michigan has had to return to the field since Rich Rod's first year in 2008, when you had a mass exodus to the NFL, a few transfers, and a new coach coming in. So I would bet quite a few Dogecoins. I would put up at least 1,000 Dogecoins, which is about $350 or so, that says Michigan wouldn't. Now, I'd be very glad in losing that money, but we'll see what happens there. So thanks so much for the question. Keep it rolling. Over on Facebook, I've got Fred Paulson. Fred asks, what do you think a realistic record for the team this year? And do you think that McCarthy becomes a starting QB at some point, or does he redshirt with his allowance of snaps in 4 games? Okay. One thing I think you're going to hear about from the local Michigan media coming up in about a week or so is Alan Bowman, the transfer quarterback, coming in from Texas Tech and getting an opportunity to compete. I think that he certainly will compete because Cade McNamara is not a proven entity. He had a good comeback against Rutgers, but didn't really prove anything outside of that, right? J.J. McCarthy, we've heard he's thrown a lot of interceptions in spring ball. He just, in theory, should be graduating his senior year of high school. 5-star quarterback, really is the top-rated quarterback recruit that Michigan has had, I don't know, since Ryan Mallett in the 2007 season, and there's a lot of expectations for him. So first question from that aspect is, what's the realistic record for this team this year? I think a realistic ceiling is 9-3. I think the floor is honestly 5-7. J.J. McCarthy will get in the game, but I think the worse Michigan does early on, the better chances he has to become the starter, because I don't think he's going to become the day one starter. If Cade McNamara gets in the game, Michigan starts off 2-3, 3-2, or we're 6-7 games in the year, they've got 3 or 4 losses already. There is absolutely no need not to put J.J. McCarthy in the game. Give him a shot since he's the future. Want to keep him happy. Want to keep him on campus. So 9-3 is the realistic ceiling. I think a realistic record, honestly, is 7-5 for this team. And I think McCarthy will only burn his red shirt if Michigan is having a poorer than expected season. I want to ask you guys, if you love Michigan football, hell with this like stuff. If you love Michigan football, like this video. We've got a like goal that we're trying to hit for the month of May, so I know you guys are going to come through for us. I love Michigan football, despite my pessimism sometime and my unrealized expectations of Jim Harbaugh as this program's coach. Go ahead and like the video. It'll really help us out. If you're watching and you love Michigan football, you got to make sure to like this video. Stephen Brown coming in with the question. He says, if Michigan starts 6-0, what do you see their final regular season record being? Well, I'm going to look at the schedule in front of my head because I don't actually know what those 6 first games look like, unless super producer Perry can throw them up on screen somehow. Boom, he's got them right in front of me. It's the best in the game, Perry Randall. So starting off Western Michigan first game, a lot of folks are saying that this Western Michigan team could be favored to win the Mid-American Conference. So that's not as easy as win as you normally expect it. Washington, I've got as a 50-50 game at best. Was it Northern Illinois? They should win. Northern Illinois should win. Rutgers, I'd expect them to win. But remember, Rutgers was up 17 on Michigan in the first half last year. I expect Wisconsin to be lost. Nebraska, 50-50, maybe 60-40 in Michigan's favor, but they're going on the road. So if they were to start 6-0 in that season, like the question was from Steven here from our Facebook page, then they go a little deeper. Then you have a lot of excitement. If they go start 6-0, Michigan is probably ranked in the top 10 or 12 teams in the country. After that, you'd have Northwestern, Michigan State, Indiana, Penn State. If they started off 6-0, I would have Michigan going 10-2 or 11-1, given the fact that they'd probably lose the Ohio State game on the road against Penn State. The third to last game of the season is a tough one. Then you've got Northwestern, Indiana, Michigan State mixed in there. So if they can start off 2-0, get a win over Washington, get a win over Wisconsin, I am feeling pretty dang good that this is a 10 or maybe an 11-win team. Now, make sure you guys are subscribed here on YouTube. It is youtube.com/MichiganTV. We got 13,400 subscribers. The goal is to get to 20,000 before the season starts. That takes place in about 3 months and 2 weeks, about 3 months and a week actually, from this date. So make sure you guys are subscribed. We're putting out 4 or 5 videos this week. I'm trying to get up to 5 or 6 in June. Ideally, by the time we're getting July and then August for the season, we're getting up to 1 video every single day. Next question up, coming from Sweet Polls 32 on our YouTube channel. Who would be the best head coach to hire next year if Jim Harbaugh gets fired? If Harbaugh gets fired, that means Michigan, I think, probably goes 8-4 or worse. I think 8-4 is kind of the cusp of, well, we'll give them another year if the team is showing promise. But if they get blown out against Penn State, get it blown out against Ohio State down the stretch, I think it's tough to see Michigan bringing Harbaugh back if he goes 8-4, 7-5, or worse. So if he is fired, here are my top 4 candidates as we stand here today, May 26, 2021. I've got Brian Daboll from the Buffalo Bills, offensive coordinator, did a really good job with Josh Allen, their quarterback last year, has some offensive coordinator experience with Alabama a few years back. Luke Fickell, I don't know if he would take the job, but the Ohio State job doesn't seem like it's coming out open anytime soon. Luke Fickell is not going to stay at Cincinnati forever. They might be a top 10 team this year. Joe Brady, we all remember what he did a couple years ago at LSU, turning them into a national championship team, turning Joe Burrow into the Heisman winner. And I think everyone's number one candidate, of course, is going to be Matt Campbell, Iowa State's head coach, who, by the way, folks, might start off this season in the top 5 in the country. So I ask you guys this question. Comment below. Who is your dream coach for Michigan football? Well, 6 years ago, my dream coach was Jim Harbaugh. Even maybe 2 or 3 years ago, my dream coach was Jim Harbaugh. Right? The coach you didn't even think you could ever get if you wildest expectations. And I don't know if Matt Campbell is my dream coach yet. He's had a lot of success, of course, as Iowa State's head coach. Had a lot of success prior to that. But my dream coach, I don't know, Urban Meyer. I know some of you guys clearly don't like Urban Meyer, and he's in the NFL right now, but I'd say Urban Meyer. Maybe John Harbaugh, right? Maybe Jim's brother John Harbaugh. Maybe Mike Tomlin from the Steelers could be my dream coach. I like the Browns, Kevin Stefanski. A lot of guys out there. None of those guys would be Michigan's coach, I don't believe. So for now, for realistic people, I think my dream coach would be Matt Campbell. But go down in the comments. Let me know yours. As I mentioned earlier, we are presented by Manscaped. If you want more Michigan football content, want us to keep being able to keep the lights on, pay the producers, make sure you're using our promo code GOBLUE at manscaped.com. You get 20% off and free shipping. They just launched the Lawnmower 4.0. This is a taboo subject for some of you kind of people, but listen, I took care of business last night with the lady. Believe me, had I not used the Lawnmower 4.0 before to clean things up, underneath and above and all around there, it might not be as memorable experience for me or for her as it ended up being. So go ahead, manscaped.com, 20% off. Use that promo code GOBLUE. All right, our next question up, Shane Kowalski, 49, and he is asking, how do you think Michigan's offense will do with Cade McNamara? Will the offensive line hold up and provide time for Cade? Will Hassan Haskins have a breakout year? And will Ronnie Bell finally get the targets he deserves? I'm going to talk to the production staff here. A lot of questions coming in from Shane, but we're going to answer them all as fast as we can. I think the offense will struggle because I don't think the offensive coordinator, Josh Gattis, is that good. So I think Cade McNamara will struggle as part of that. And the offensive line will do okay, right? But I think the key to this offense is to make Hassan Haskins the workhorse. Michigan played way too many games last year with this offense, giving, in the running back perspective, giving 4, sometimes 5 guys carries in the first half of some games. But if they make Hassan Haskins the workhorse, that means the offensive line is probably doing better than we expect, and that means that Cade, McNamara, Ronnie Bell, they'll probably have better seasons. But Hassan Haskins, 61 carries last year in 6 games, that's 10 carries per game. He needs to be a 20 carry per game guy, get those touchdowns up to 12, 13, 14, 15, those yards up over 1,000. But Cade McNamara, I believe, will likely be your day 1 starter. Looked good last year. Well, folks, let's be realistic here. In his entire Michigan football career, he's got 5 touchdown passes, right? He's got something like, 75 or so pass attempts. Maybe I'm overdoing that by just a little bit, but 61% completion, throws a pretty ball, and had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, which I actually think is key. So the offensive line is going to be key there. This man may be key there, though, and that is Ronnie Bell. Will be a senior this year, but technically could come back in 2022 because last year's eligibility didn't count. The former basketball player, I think he's going to be the captain of this team. I think he's going to be the most impactful player on this offense. And frankly, I think Michigan needs more players like Ronnie Bell who just give a dang whether this program succeeds or not. I think there's been too many players in the past from both wide receiver perspective. We all know the names from the 2018, 2019 teams that fell into that category of just playing for themselves, not playing for Michigan. How about Bruce McGraw's question coming up here on YouTube? He commented on our YouTube channel. Do you prefer Harbaugh's 2015-16 offenses or Gattis' new age offense? Do you think Michigan would be a better philosophy if they stuck with Harbaugh's and the offense coupled with a good defense kept the Ohio State rivalry a rivalry and not a relationship between a hammer and a nail? Pretty much funny, Ohio State being the hammer, Michigan being the nail. Here's my take on it. Josh Gattis has been a failure compared to what our expectations were and compared to what Michigan hired him to do, which is score enough points to beat Ohio State, score enough points to beat Penn State, move the ball efficiently enough to beat Wisconsin, and frankly, have a game plan that put Michigan up there with the upper echelon teams in college football that have turned into offensive factories. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Those 4 schools are the gold standard of offense in this new age of college football. And no matter what Don Brown did, and we saw that fall apart last year, no matter what Don Brown did, Michigan was not good enough on defense. They couldn't hold the best teams to under 30 or 35 or 40 points. And if you can't hold Ohio State to under 30 or 40 points with your best defense in 2018 that you've had in a decade or so, how they get up 62 against that team. How are you going to beat them unless you can score 62, 63, 65, 70 points? Not going to do it with Gattis. I would prefer probably the Harbaugh offense compared to what we've seen, but I don't think either one is going to cut it to compete with the Buckeyes. But I'll ask you guys this question. Which offense would you prefer? The 2015-2016 Michigan offense, which is much more ball control, but I thought had a plan. I thought went into every game with a strategy, or this Josh Gattis offense that I think wants to be cute, wants to get a lot of guys involved, wants to do all the shifts and the motions and throw the ball to running backs and have guys go over the field, but it's just not very effective. And they get way too gimmicky by giving the ball to Ben Mason inside the 5 when he's been playing defense, or giving Hassan Haskins the opportunity to throw the ball inside the 5. I don't necessarily think it's Gattis'. So if you think it's Harbaugh, like the video. If you think it's Gattis, go down in the comments and type Josh. Next question coming up from the chiropractic champ. I wonder if that name is because he himself is a chiropractor, or he gets chiropractor done on him to go hit the boxing ring or something like that and becomes the champ. But what's it going to take for this offense to finally gel and be explosive? I think Harbaugh was on the right path by going after Gattis and trying to compete with Ohio State. But you hired a 35-year-old or 36-year-old at the time. I guess Gattis was 38 years old, and he had never called plays before. So you were just basically banking that he could learn enough from Nick Saban and Mike Locksley in 1 year at Alabama to be the guy who decides what Michigan football can be in the future. But the offense has regressed under Gattis, right? 2018, Shea Patterson as the quarterback with 3 sophomore wide receivers, Tariq Black, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Ronnie Bell as a freshman, 420 yards per game. Not even good enough, but that was a pretty decent offense to watch with Karan Higdon as the running back, 420 yards a game. But they've regressed. 401 yards in Gattis' first year in 2019 with a senior quarterback, 5 offensive linemen that got drafted, and then a major regression last year. An absolutely embarrassing offense for this Michigan team. So We were promised speed and space from Josh Gattis. We have not got speed and space from Josh Gattis. We have gotten inexperience in space. We have gotten poor quarterback play in space. And we have gotten a lot of transfers in positions that we thought guys would potentially make a big impact for. Zach Charbonnet, Giles Jackson, Xavier Worthy didn't even make it on campus. So I think Josh Gattis is definitely on the hot seat going into this year. And if Michigan struggles in the first 4 or 5 games with an unproven quarterback, could he get the axe midseason? You never know. But I'll ask you guys this question. Predict for me in the comments, how many yards per game will Michigan average on offense this season? I'm going to go right in between 2020 and 2019. I'm going to go with, was it 380 or something like that? I'm going to go 390 yards is how many yards of offense they will average this year. If that is the case and I am right, I'll feel bad because this team will be very tough to watch. But Michigan will probably fire Josh Gattis either during the season or after the season. So let me know what you guys think there, and I will see what you guys believe for the 2021 season from Josh Gattis and this Michigan football team. We'll be back with more Michigan football news and rumors coming up probably tomorrow, maybe over the weekend. Until then, go Blue.